The coffee splashed across her designer dress. Before I could even get the words, "I'm sorry," out of my mouth, her hand smacked me right across the face. "You filthy rat!" she screamed, grabbing a fistful of my hair in front of what felt like the whole world. I was a mess, crying, bleeding, and utterly humiliated. Just then, my phone started ringing. It was him, her brother, my fiancé, Sebastian. Little did I know, everything was about to be turned upside down. Seriously, what you're about to hear is completely bonkers. But before we dive in, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because this story has more twists and turns than a pretzel. Trust me, you will not see what's coming. Now, let's rewind to that truly awful day that changed my life forever. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and I was practically walking on sunshine. Just 2 days before, Sebastian, the man I'd always dreamed of, had proposed in the most incredible way imaginable. We were at the community center where we first met, surrounded by all the kids we loved teaching. He got down on one knee, tears welling up in his eyes. The ring was simple, elegant, and absolutely perfect for me. I practically shouted, "Yes," before he could even finish the question. So, that Tuesday, I decided to treat myself to a little shopping spree at the Grandview Luxury Mall. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's a girl like me, a teacher scraping by paycheck to paycheck in a tiny apartment, doing at the fanciest mall in the city? Well, I wanted to find something really special to wear for our engagement announcement. Sebastian was finally going to introduce me to his family that weekend, and I wanted to make a good first impression. I had been stashing away a little bit of money, and I figured I could at least window shop in the more affordable stores on the lower levels. I was wearing my go-to outfit, a comfy white t-shirt and my favorite pair of jeans. Nothing flashy at all. I treated myself to a caramel latte from Starbucks, and I was juggling a few shopping bags from some of the cheaper stores. I felt genuinely happy. Maybe for the first time since my parents passed away 6 years ago. I was texting Sebastian, gushing about a cute scarf I'd found, when it all went sideways. I was heading towards the elevator, totally engrossed in my phone screen, grinning at his reply. Suddenly, the elevator doors slid open, and I walked smack dab into someone coming out. We collided hard. My phone went flying out of one hand, and my Starbucks cup went soaring out of the other. Felt like everything slowed down. I watched in pure, unadulterated horror as my caramel latte did an arc through the air and landed all over the woman in front of me. And this wasn't just any woman. She was wearing what I later learned was a cream-colored Chanel dress, the kind that probably cost more than I made in half a year. Gold jewelry was dripping from her neck and wrists, and she was carrying a handbag that I recognized from magazines as a Hermes Birkin. Her blonde hair was perfectly coiffed, and her makeup was absolutely flawless. In that split second before the coffee hit her, she looked like she had just stepped right out of the pages of a high-fashion magazine. Then the coffee soaked into her dress, leaving this dark, ugly stain spreading across the fabric. Her expression morphed into something that I can only describe as pure, unfiltered rage. "You stupid girl!" She screamed so loud that everyone in the entire corridor stopped what they were doing and turned to stare. "Do you have any idea how much this costs?" My heart was pounding in my chest. I started apologizing instantly, my hands shaking as I fumbled for the napkins in my pocket. "I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I am so sorry. It was an accident. Please, let me help." "Shut up," she snapped, cutting me off. Her voice was like ice and fire all at once. "Just shut your filthy mouth." I froze. Nobody had ever spoken to me like that before. I could feel tears welling up in my eyes, but before I could say another word, before I could even wrap my head around what was happening, her hand came out of nowhere and connected with my cheek in a slap so hard that my ears started ringing. The pain was immediate and intense, radiating all across my face. I stumbled backward, clutching my burning cheek, completely shell-shocked. But she wasn't finished. Before I could even catch my breath, her perfectly manicured fingers tangled in my hair and yanked hard, pulling me downwards. I screamed out in pain. The pain in my scalp was excruciating as she dragged me down by my hair, and I found myself on my knees on the cold, hard marble floor. "You worthless trash!" she screamed, her face twisted in disgust. "You poverty-stricken rat! How dare you touch me with your disgusting cheap coffee?" Tears were streaming down my face now, hot and uncontrollable. I tried to pull away, but her grip on my hair was like a vice. The crowd around us had grown, and I could see phones pointed in our direction, recording every single humiliating second. But nobody helped. Not a single person stepped in. They just stood there, watching and recording like I was some kind of spectacle for their entertainment. Finally, she released my hair, but only so she could kick at my shopping bags, sending them scattering across the floor. My new scarf, the cute top I'd bought, my little makeup bag. Everything spilled out for everyone to see and judge. She then stepped on my phone screen deliberately, grinding her expensive heel into it. After that, she grabbed my collar, yanking me partially up so we were face to face, and I could smell her perfume. Something really expensive and overpowering. "Look at this cheap fabric," she hissed, literally shaking me. "You're disgusting. You don't even belong here." Then, she shoved me hard, and I fell backward onto the floor. My back hit the marble with a painful thud. I was sobbing now, completely broken. The physical pain was awful, but the humiliation was even worse. Dozens of people were watching me at my absolute lowest point. And this woman, this cruel, horrible woman, was standing over me with such disdain in her eyes that I felt like I was less than human. "Girls like you shouldn't even be allowed in places like this." She spat, literally spat near me, close enough to make her point without actually hitting me with it. The message was clear. I was dirt to her. That's when the mall manager came running over with 2 security guards. "Ma'am, please," he was saying, his hands raised in a placating gesture. "You can't do this here. This is assault." The woman turned on him with the same fury. "Do you even know who I am?" she demanded, reaching into her ruined designer bag and pulling out what looked like a platinum VIP card. "My family owns half this city. The Kingston family. You've heard of us, haven't you?" I watched the manager's face go completely pale. His eyes widened as he looked at the card, then at her, then back at the card. "Miss Kingston," he stammered. I'm terribly sorry. I didn't realize." "Of course you didn't," she snapped. "Now get this. This creature out of my sight before I have your job." The manager actually turned to me, the victim who was sitting on the floor, crying, with a bruised face and torn clothes, and said quietly, "Miss, perhaps it would be best if you left to avoid any more trouble." Couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that money and a family name could make assault acceptable, could make the victim the problem. But I was too broken, too hurt, and too humiliated to put up a fight. With trembling hands, I gathered what I could of my scattered belongings. My phone screen was completely shattered, spiderwebbed with cracks, but it still turned on. My fingers were shaking so badly that I could barely unlock it, but I somehow managed to pull up Sebastian's number. I had to try 3 times before my shaky fingers could actually press the right buttons. When he answered, his voice was warm and cheerful. "Hey, beautiful. Find anything good?" I tried to speak, but all that came out was a sob. His tone changed instantly. "Lillian, baby, what's wrong? What happened?" "Sebastian," I managed to choke out between sobs. "Please, I need you. Someone hurt me." "What? Where are you, Lillian? Where are you right now?" "Grandview Mall, near the West elevators. Please come." "I'm coming right now. Stay where you are. Don't move. I'm coming, baby." The woman, Miss Kingston, had heard my entire conversation. She actually laughed. She laughed right at me. "Calling your boyfriend?" she mocked. "What's he going to do? Is he going to come rescue you? How pathetic." I didn't respond. I just couldn't. A kind older lady from the crowd had finally come forward and helped me to a bench. She gave me tissues and kept saying, "It's okay, dear. It's not your fault." But it didn't feel like it wasn't my fault. It felt like the whole world had just confirmed that people like me didn't matter, that we could be hurt and humiliated, and nobody would care as long as the person doing it had enough money. I sat there on that bench for what felt like an eternity. Maybe 15 minutes, holding ice from the food court to my swollen cheek, trying to stop crying. The crowd had mostly dispersed, although some people were still lingering, probably hoping for more drama. Miss Kingston had moved to another part of the corridor but was still visible, now on her phone, probably complaining to someone about her ruined dress. Then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of expensive car doors slamming shut outside. The sound of purposeful footsteps, multiple sets of them moving fast. The main entrance doors burst open, and Sebastian came through them like a force of nature. I had never seen him like this before. We'd been together for 8 months, and he was always so gentle, so kind, so calm. But the man walking towards me now had an expression of cold fury that actually scared me a little. He was wearing a full business suit, something I'd never seen him wear. And behind him were 2 other men in suits, what looked like bodyguards. People were staring at him, and I heard whispers. "That's Sebastian Kingston," someone said. "Oh my God, that's Sebastian Kingston." Kingston. The same last name as the woman who had attacked me. Sebastian reached me and dropped to his knees in front of the bench, his hands immediately going to my face, gentle despite the anger burning in his eyes. "Lillian," he breathed, his voice cracking. "Oh, God. What happened to your face?" I could see the bruise forming on my cheek, could feel how swollen it was. His fingers traced it so carefully, and I saw tears actually welling up in his eyes. "Who did this to you?" he asked, and his voice was deadly quiet. "Tell me who did this." I couldn't speak. I just lifted my shaking hand and pointed across the corridor to where Miss Kingston was standing. She had frozen, her phone still pressed to her ear, staring at Sebastian with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. Sebastian slowly turned his head to follow my gesture. When he saw her, his entire body went rigid. He stood up, his movements slow and deliberate, like he was fighting with every ounce of his being to stop himself from doing something violent. "Catherine," he said, and his voice could have frozen fire. "Catherine. So that was her name. The woman who had just completely destroyed me was named Catherine." She slowly lowered her phone. "Sebastian," she said, and her voice was different now, uncertain. What are you doing here?" "What am I doing here?" he repeated, his voice rising. What am I doing here, Catherine? What did you do? What the hell did you do to her?" "It was an accident," Catherine said quickly, her voice going up an octave. "She wasn't watching where she was going. She ruined my dress. You hit her," Sebastian interrupted, his voice cutting through her excuses like a knife. "Security footage doesn't lie, Catherine. I'm going to see it, and we both know exactly what it's going to show. You physically assaulted someone. You attacked her." Catherine's face cycled through a whole range of emotions. Confusion, defensiveness, and something that might have been the beginning of fear. "Sebastian, you don't understand. She's nobody. She's just some girl who—" "She's not just some girl," Sebastian said, and his voice dropped to that deadly quiet tone again. "Catherine, look at me. Look at me, and understand what I'm about to tell you. That woman you just assaulted, that woman whose face you bruised, whose hair you pulled, who you humiliated in front of dozens of people, that's Lillian. My Lillian.
My fiancée."
The silence that followed was deafening. I watched the color drain from Catherine's face. Her mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. The manager, who was still hovering nearby, looked like he was about to pass out. The remaining crowd gasped audibly. "You're what?" Catherine finally whispered. "My fiancée," Sebastian repeated, each word deliberate and sharp. "The woman I'm going to marry. The woman I love more than anything in this world. And you just brutalized her like she was nothing." Catherine's legs seemed to give out a little, and she leaned against the wall for support. "Sebastian, I didn't know. How was I supposed to know?" "You weren't supposed to need to know." Sebastian exploded, his controlled fury finally breaking through. "You don't get to assault people just because you don't know who they're connected to. You don't get to hurt people just because you think they're beneath you." He turned to his assistant. "Get me the security footage from the past hour, all angles. I want everything." Then, to the manager, If you try to delete or hide any of that footage, I will personally ensure you never work in this city again. Do you understand me? The manager nodded frantically, already speaking into his radio. Sebastian came back to me, kneeling again. Baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Can you stand? I'm gonna take you home, get you checked out by a doctor. I nodded, letting him help me to my feet. My legs were shaky, and I leaned heavily on him. As we started walking toward the exit, I heard Catherine's voice behind us, desperate now. Sebastian, please, we need to talk about this. It was a misunderstanding. He didn't even turn around. Stay away from her, Catherine. Stay far away from her. We'll deal with this at home with Mom and Dad present. Those words, Mom and Dad, made something click in my brain. Catherine was Sebastian's sister. The woman who had just attacked me was my fiancé's sister. The family I was supposed to meet that weekend. The family I was so nervous about impressing included the woman who had just called me trash and spat near me on a mall floor. As Sebastian helped me into his car, a beautiful silver vehicle that I'd never seen before, I started to realize that there was so much about his life that I didn't know. He told me his family had money, but I just assumed he meant they were comfortable, maybe upper middle class. I hadn't realized he meant they were the Kingstons, one of the most powerful families in the city. The drive to his place was quiet, except for my occasional sobs. He held my hand the whole time, his thumb rubbing gentle circles on my skin, occasionally lifting my hand to kiss it. I'm going to fix this, he kept saying. I promise, I'm going to fix this. When we arrived at his building, a towering luxury high-rise in the most expensive part of the city, I realized I'd never actually been to his real home. We always met at my apartment or at casual places around the city. He'd said he preferred it that way, that he liked my cozy space. Now, I understood that he'd been shielding his wealth from me, trying to keep things normal between us. His penthouse was stunning. All floor-to-ceiling windows and modern furniture and art that probably cost more than my car. But I barely registered any of it. I was exhausted, in pain, and emotionally shattered. Sebastian sat me down on his couch and brought ice for my face, medicine for the pain, and a soft blanket. He made calls while I sat there, quiet conversations in another room, but I could still hear the anger in his voice even through the walls. About an hour later, his parents arrived. Patricia and William Kingston walked into the penthouse looking concerned and confused. Patricia was elegant, in her 50s, with kind eyes. William was tall and imposing, clearly used to being in charge. Sebastian, what's this about? William asked. You said there was an emergency. Sebastian gestured towards me on the couch, and they both turned to look. Patricia's hand flew to her mouth when she saw my bruised face. Oh my God! Who did this to you, dear? Your daughter did, Sebastian said flatly. The shock on their faces would have been comical in any other situation. That's impossible, William said. Catherine would never. She did, Sebastian interrupted. And before you tell me there must be some kind of explanation, you should know that I have security footage from the mall showing exactly what she did. Would you like to see it? He didn't wait for an answer. He pulled up the footage on his massive television screen, and we all watched in silence. Watching it again from the security camera's perspective was somehow even worse than living through it. You could see the coffee spill, see me trying to apologize, see Catherine's face contort with rage. The slap was clearly visible, as was her grabbing my hair, kicking my bags, and stomping on my phone. The footage even had audio, and Catherine's cruel words echoed through the expensive penthouse. You worthless trash, poverty-stricken rat, girls like you shouldn't be allowed. When the video ended, Patricia was crying. William's face had gone rigid. His jaw clenched so tight that I could see the muscles working. There was a long, heavy silence. Then, the penthouse door opened, and Catherine walked in with a tall man I assumed was her husband. She'd changed clothes, now wearing a purple dress, and had clearly tried to fix her makeup, but her eyes were red, probably from crying. Mom, Dad, she started. I can explain. Explain what? William's voice was like thunder. Explain how you physically assaulted an innocent woman in public? Explain how you humiliated someone who did nothing but accidentally spill coffee on your dress? You don't understand, Catherine said, her voice rising in pitch. She could have been anyone. She looked like some kind of gold digger. How was I supposed to know she was really with Sebastian? You weren't supposed to need to know, Patricia said, her voice breaking. Catherine, even if she was a stranger, even if she had no connection to this family, you had no right to treat another human being that way. Sebastian stood up, his voice cold and controlled once more. This isn't the first time, is it? Should I tell Lillian about Claire? About what you did to her? Catherine's face went sheet white. That was different. It wasn't different, Sebastian said. Claire was my girlfriend 5 years ago, and you made her life so miserable that she broke up with me and left the city. You couldn't stand that I'd chosen someone from outside our social circle, so you drove her away. I forgave you then because you promised you'd changed. But you haven't changed at all. William spoke up, his voice heavy with disappointment. Your mother and I have known for years that we enabled your behavior, Catherine. We gave you everything, never made you face real consequences, and you became cruel. We're as much to blame as you are. I'm not cruel, Catherine protested, but her voice cracked. You don't understand what it's like. Everyone who comes near this family wants something. Everyone is trying to use us. So, you were just protecting Sebastian by assaulting his fiancée? Sebastian asked quietly. By bruising the face of the woman I love? That's protecting me? Catherine broke down then. Really broke down, sinking into a chair with her face in her hands. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me. I saw her, and she looked so happy, and I thought she was like all the others, just another person trying to take advantage. Her husband, Gregory, put a hand on her shoulder, looking deeply uncomfortable. Catherine has been struggling, he said quietly. She's been unhappy for a long time. We're all unhappy sometimes, Patricia said gently but firmly. That doesn't give us the right to hurt people. Sebastian turned to me then. Lillian, this is your decision. I'll support whatever you want to do. If you want to press charges, I'll make sure you have the best lawyers. If you want her out of our lives completely, she's out. If you want something else, tell me. This is your call. Everyone turned to look at me. I'd been sitting there silently, wrapped in my blanket, listening to everything. My face hurt. My head hurt. My heart hurt. Part of me wanted revenge. Wanted to see Catherine punished the way she'd punished me. But another part of me, the part that had grown up with kind parents who taught me about forgiveness and second chances, that part was thinking about something else. I want to talk to her, I said quietly. Alone. The room erupted in protests, but I held up my hand. Please, just give me 5 minutes alone with her. Sebastian looked reluctant, but he eventually nodded. 5 minutes. I'll be right outside this door. Everyone filed out, leaving Catherine and me alone in the study. She wouldn't look at me, her eyes fixed on her hands in her lap. Why do you hate people like me so much? I asked. She was silent for a long moment, then said quietly, because I never got to be people like you. I waited, and eventually, she continued, her words tumbling out like she'd been holding them in for years. I'm 32 years old, and I've never made a single real choice in my life. My parents chose my schools, my friends, my career path, my husband. Gregory and I got married when I was 23 because our fathers thought it would be good for their companies. He's a good man, but I don't love him, and he doesn't love me. We're just playing house in a mansion, pretending to be happy. I watch Sebastian, and he gets to volunteer at community centers and meet people and fall in love naturally. And I'm so jealous I can barely breathe. When I saw you today, when I saw this girl in casual clothes with her Starbucks and her happy smile, texting someone who made her glow like that, I just snapped. I wanted to hurt you because you have something I'll never have. Freedom, real choices, real love. She finally looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. That doesn't excuse what I did. Nothing excuses it. I'm a horrible person, and I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to understand that I know I'm broken, and I know I need help. I sat there, looking at this woman who had hurt me so badly, and I saw something I hadn't expected to see. I saw someone who was trapped in a different way than I'd ever been. Growing up, we didn't have much. Sure, I worked my tail off. Absolutely. My parents passed away, leaving me with nothing but debt and a whole lot of heartache. That's right. But I had the freedom to design my own life, to choose who I loved, to become the person I wanted to be. Catherine might have had money, but she was trapped. I had freedom, but I was broke. And in that moment, it hit me neither of us had the complete package. Maybe that's just how life is. Maybe we're all flawed in our own unique ways. I'm going to give you one chance, I finally said. Just one, but there are going to be some ground rules. Her eyes got wide. Anything. I'll do anything. Real therapy, I said. Not just some act to avoid getting in trouble, but genuine, honest-to-goodness therapy where you actually dig deep and figure out why you feel the need to hurt people. Community service at the center where Sebastian and I first met, so you can actually see how the other half lives. I mean, really see it. And a public apology video so other rich folks might think twice before they treat service workers, or just regular people like they're trash. And if you slip up even once, I continued, if I hear even a whisper that you've bullied or belittled anyone, I will be 100% behind Sebastian in cutting you off completely. Do you understand? She nodded so hard I thought her head would fall off. Yes, I understand. Thank you, God. Thank you. When we got back to the living room and I told everyone what I decided, Sebastian pulled me aside. Are you sure about this? He asked. You don't have to do this. I know, I said. But hurt people. And if there's even a small chance she can heal and become a better person, shouldn't we at least try? He kissed my forehead, being careful not to touch my bruise. This is exactly why I love you. You're stronger and kinder than anyone I've ever known. The next 3 months were weird. Catherine jumped into therapy headfirst, real intensive stuff 3 times a week. She started volunteering at the community center, and I watched her struggle with it in the beginning. She was clearly uncomfortable around the kids who had nothing, kids who reminded her of everything she'd been taught to look down on. But slowly, ever so slowly, something in her started to shift. She made her public apology video, and it went viral. Millions of people watched as she tearfully apologized and admitted her privilege and, yes, her cruelty. The comments section was a battlefield. Some people were praising her for taking responsibility. Others said she was only sorry because she got caught. I honestly didn't know which was true, and I'm not even sure she did. Gregory, her husband, told Sebastian privately that the incident had actually been good for their marriage, believe it or not. They'd started couples counseling and were, for the first time in 9 years, actually talking to each other like real human beings. One day, about 3 months after the whole incident, Catherine asked to meet me for coffee. I was hesitant, but Sebastian encouraged me. Just see how she's doing, he said. Trust your gut. We met at a Starbucks. Ironically, the very same one where I'd bought the fateful latte that started everything. Catherine was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table and nervously fiddling with a napkin. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. I wasn't sure you would. I'm not sure why I did, I admitted. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said quickly. I don't deserve forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that you actually saved my life, Lillian. I was headed down a really dark path. I was miserable and making everyone around me miserable, and I didn't even realize it. My therapist says I was depressed, deeply depressed, and taking it out on everyone else. That doesn't excuse what I did to you, but it's a reason, at least. I sipped my coffee, letting her continue. Working with those kids at the center, seeing how happy they are with so little, seeing how hard their parents work just to give them basic things. It's changed something inside me. I've started a foundation for underprivileged children. I'm putting $10 million into it to start, and I'm going to make it my life's work. It's not enough, I know. It doesn't make up for what I did, but it's something. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw someone different from the monster who had attacked me in the mall. She looked tired, but in a good way, like someone who'd been doing hard work. The kind of work that changes you from the inside out. "I'm glad you're getting help," I said. "I'm glad you're trying to be better." "I don't know if I can ever be good," she said honestly. "But I want to try. And Lillian, if you and Sebastian have kids someday, I promise I will be the best aunt I can be. I will teach them kindness and humility, all the things I never learned." Sebastian and I got married that spring in a small ceremony at the community center where we first met. Catherine came, but she sat in the back, and I appreciated that she understood her place. She didn't try to make it about herself. She was just there quietly, showing up to support her brother and respect my wishes. At the reception, she approached me hesitantly. "You look beautiful," she said. "Sebastian is lucky." We're both lucky, I corrected. "We chose each other." She smiled sadly. "Yes, choice. That's the thing, isn't it?" Now, sitting here telling you this story, I think about that day often. I think about how a single moment, a spilled coffee, revealed so much ugliness, but also led to so much growth. Catherine isn't perfect. She still struggles. She still sometimes says things that reveal her privilege and her blind spots. But she's trying, genuinely trying, and that's more than a lot of people do. As for me and Sebastian, we're happy. Ridiculously happy. We still volunteer at the center together. I'm still teaching even though he's offered 1,000 times to support me if I want to quit. But I don't want to quit. Those kids need me, and honestly, I need them too. The scar on my cheek faded, but not completely. There's still a faint mark where Catherine slapped me. Sometimes I catch sight of it in the mirror and remember that day. But instead of filling me with anger or bitterness, it reminds me of the choice I made. The choice to offer grace instead of seeking revenge. The choice to see humanity in someone who had been completely inhuman to me. I could have destroyed Catherine. I had the power, the evidence, the support of her own family to ruin her life. But I chose a different path. Not because I'm particularly noble or saintly, but because I believe that hurt people. And healing has to start somewhere. Does that mean what she did was okay? Absolutely not. Does it mean everyone deserves infinite chances? No. But it means that sometimes, just sometimes, offering someone a path to redemption is worth more than the fleeting satisfaction of revenge. Catherine learned that money and status don't make you better than anyone else. I learned that sometimes the cruelest people are the most broken inside. And Sebastian learned that the woman he fell in love with at a community center was exactly the kind of strong, compassionate person he always believed she was. That's my story. The story of the day a billionaire's sister humiliated me in a mall, not knowing I was engaged to her brother. The day that changed all of our lives in ways none of us could have predicted. The day I learned that grace and strength aren't opposites. They're partners. So what do you think? Did I make the right choice in forgiving Catherine? Should I have pressed charges and cut her out of our lives completely? Or was giving her a chance to change the right thing to do? I genuinely want to know your thoughts. So drop them in the comments below. I read every single one. If the story touched you, if it made you think about forgiveness or second chances or how we treat people who seem beneath us, please hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. And subscribe to this channel because I have more stories to share. Stories about life, love, grace, and the complicated choices we all have to make. Remember, we all have the power to break cycles of cruelty. We can choose revenge, or we can choose redemption. Neither choice is easy, and neither is wrong. But we have to live with the consequences of what we choose. Thank you for listening to my story. Stay kind, but never let anyone walk all over you. Stand up for yourself, but remember that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is offer grace. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself and each other.